Greeting to Prof. Pua. Today we will present our group assignment. The topic is impact of employment rate, labor productivity, and GDP in manufacturing sector of Japan. This is our group member. We have Christine Rachel, Izzati, Ting, and me, Heng Shi Ying. Next, I will present the introduction for this assignment. Japan manufacturing sector has long been a base of economy, served as a major driver of GDP, export, and technological innovation. It supports a significant portion of the workforce, contributing to the job creation, economic development, and also Japan global competitiveness. So this sector has been central to Japan post-war economy with a strong capability in industry like automotive, electronic, and robotics to stabilize the nation position as a global industrial leader. However, since 1990s, the manufacturing sector has faced few challenges like labor market instability and rising inflation have posed significant threats to the sustainability. So the external shocks like 2008 global financial crisis and also the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted the supply chain and reduced the productivity. So these challenges highlight the urgent needs for effective strategy to address employment, inflation, and also productivity to make sure the sector resilience and competitiveness in a fast-growing global landscape. So between 1990 and 2023, this sector survived critical challenges like 2008 global financial crisis caused a significant export decline and productivity loss. So the key performance indicators like such as employment rate, GDP contribute from manufacturing sector, and labor productivity remain the important in understanding of the sector. Analyzing these metrics will help in crafting policy and strategy to enhance Japan's manufacturing sector competitiveness and long-term sustainability. So this is the traits for our topic. So the first one is manufacturing output, which fluctuated peak in 1995, decline in crisis 1997 until 1998 and 2008, and drop again in 2022. It's impacted by the financial crisis, global economic condition, and also the supply chain disruption. So next is the employment rate in Japan, which is minor decline in 2000 because of the aging population, automation, and also the structural labor market changes. So next is the GDP of manufacturing sector. So it decreased in 2008 until 2009 and increased again in 2010, same to the year 2019 until 2020 decreased and increased again in 2021. So for the labor productivity in Japan, which stable growth over the time.
I'll be presenting the literature review on the impact of employment rate, labor productivity, and GDP in the manufacturing sector of Japan. This review highlights key study on the relationship between this factor and their contribution to Japan economic growth, focusing primarily on labor productivity and its role in shaping the economy. Let's begin by discussing the importance of productivity in Japan manufacturing sector. According to Hitomi in 2004, analyze how productivity improvement in Japan manufacturing sector contribute significantly to its GDP growth. This study highlights that productivity has been one of the main drivers of economic expansion in this sector. Nakamura took a different approach and focused on challenges Japan faced due to its aging workforce. As the workforce age, labor productivity can decline, affecting economic performance in manufacturing. In 2011, Hara and Ichi pointed out that there are inefficiencies in the labor market that slow down productivity. This inefficiency must be addressed to improve overall economic output. Moving on to the impact of economic crisis. Ikichi highlighted that labor productivity and employment rate in Japan were notably influenced by the global financial crisis of 2008. This crisis had long-term effect on recovery and labor market dynamic. Similarly to Amri, examined how exchange rate and labor conditions in the manufacturing sector play a role in GDP growth, showing that addressing this factor is essential to stabilize the economy. From the study we review, we can draw a few important conclusions. First, the relationship between employment rate and labor productivity is crucial to understanding how the manufacturing sector influences Japan's GDP. Enhancing labor management and improving worker mobility could significantly boost productivity. Finally, the effect of economic crisis have been profound, showing the need for recovery strategies that focus on both employment growth and labor productivity. To summarize, the literature shows that Japan manufacturing sector is essential for its economy, but it faces challenges like an aging workforce and labor market inefficiency. Addressing this challenge is key to maintaining productivity and in turn GDP growth. Going forward, it will be important for Japan to implement policy that enhance labor efficiency and ensure the sector continue to contribute to the country's economic health.
I will present for the methodology part. This study examines the intricate relationship between employment rate, labor productivity, and GDP in Japan manufacturing sector over the period from 1995 to 2022. We applied robust econometrics technique tailored for time series data to ensure reliable results. For the data sources manufacturing output, data was collected from market trends and cross-referenced with reports from Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. To ensure consistency, values were adjusted to constant US dollars, accounting for inflation. For the second one is employment rate. Employment statistics were sourced from the Federal Reserve Economic Database, which provides reliable long-term labor market data for various sectors. For the third one is labor productivity. This data was taken from the World Development Indicators by the World Bank. Productivity was measured as GDP per worker using constant purchasing power parity to maintain comparability across time. Next one is key variables. Our dependent variable is manufacturing output, the total inflation adjusted value of goods produced in Japan's manufacturing sector, reflecting the sector's economic performance. And our independent variable is the first one is employment rate, the proportion of employed individuals within the total manufacturing labor force, capturing labor market trends. And our second independent variable is labor productivity, the efficiency of workers calculated as output per worker hour, providing insights into how effectively labor contributes to production. The next one is the data sets for our study is spans 1995 to 2022 with quarterly observations. This time frame captures economic cycles and structural changes in Japan's manufacturing sector, ensuring a comprehensive analysis of short-term dynamics and long-term trends. Next is research method that we use in this study. The first one is unit root test, or called as augmented decoupler test. We employ this test to assess the stationarity of variables, ensuring they were appropriate for future analysis. The second one is the Hansen configuration test. This test was used to identify long-term equilibrium relationship among the variables. The percent of configuration indicated a sharp long-term trend. And the third one is normalized conjugating vector. This method helps express the co-integrating relationship in a readable form, clarifying the impact of each variable on the long-run dynamics. And the fourth is error correction model, ECM. The ECM captures both short-term adjustment and long-term equilibriums dynamics, helping us understand how variables respond to the deviation over time. And the last one is Granger causality test. We examine causal relationships between variables to identify which factors significantly influence others over time.
Now I will be presenting about the data of unit root test augmented decoupler ADF. We can see that in log of GDP series and log of labor productivity series, they both have non-stationary at the level intercept and trend intercept, where the p-value is bigger than 5 significant level, and then it's stationary at the level of first difference, where both intercept and trend intercept of p-value is smaller than 5 significant level. Next, log of manufacturing output. They are stationary at the level of intercept, where the p-value is smaller than 5 significant level, and non-stationary at the level of trend intercept, where the p-value is bigger than 5 significant level, and then it is stationary at the first difference of both intercept and trend intercept, where the p-value is smaller than 5 significant level. Next, log of labor employment. They are non-stationary on both level of intercept and trend intercept, where both p-value have bigger than 5 significant level, and then it's non-stationary at first difference of intercept, where the p-value is bigger than 5 significant figure, and stationary on first difference of trend and trend intercept where the p-value is smaller than 5% significant level. Here we can see that majority of the variable are non-stationary in their levels, but become stationary at their first difference. Now let's look at the result of the Johanson co-integration test. For the null hypothesis r equal to 0, the test result show that we reject the null hypothesis at 5% significant level, has both the trace statistic of 49.950 is greater than the critical value of 47.856 and the maximum NG value of 27.865 is greater than the critical value of 27.584. This is indicate that there is at least one cointegration relationship among the variables. For the null hypothesis R less than 1, the test results show that we fail to reject the null hypothesis has a trace statistic of 22.085 is less than the critical value of 29.797 and the maximum of NG value of 12.217 is also smaller than the critical value of 21.132. This suggests that there is no cointegration beyond one vector. For the null hypothesis r less than 2, the result confirmed that we also failed to reject the null hypothesis has both trace statistic of 9.868 and the maximum NG value of 9.788 are smaller than their respective critical value, that is 15.495 and 14.265. This indicates that there are no evidence for more than two co-integrating vector. Finally, the null hypothesis of r less than 3. The results show that we cannot reject the null hypothesis at the 5 significant level, suggesting no more than 3 contribution vector with the trace statistic of 22.085 and maximum NG value of 12.217 being lower than their critical value. Based on the Johanson co-integration test, we can conclude that there are one significant co-integration vector which is r equal to 1, indicating a long-term equilibrium relationship among the variable in our model. This suggests that the variable move together over time in stable long-run relationship. Now look at the normalized co-integrating vector test, which identify the long-term relationship between LGDP, LMO, LEMP, and LLP, where the constants represent the LGDP when all variables are 0. A 1 unit increase in LMO increase the GDP by 1.760 units with a strong significant theta statistic equal to 9.789. A 1 unit increase in LEMP result in a 5.208 increase in LGDP with significant impact theta statistic equal to 3.807. A 1 unit increase in LLP cause 3.979 increase in LGDP confirmed by significant the statistic equal to 4.172. So in conclusion, all 3 variables LMO, LEMP, and LLP have a positive and statistically significant impact on LGDP, highlighting their importance in driving long-term economic growth. This is the result of error correction model ECM estimation of LGDP and the diagnostic test. The co-integration 01 variable representing the error correction term is statistically significant with a coefficient of 0.669 and a t statistic of 2.427. This suggests a strong long-run equilibrium relationship between the variables. However, when examining the short-run dynamic, we can see that the lag variable of LGDP, LMO, EMP, and LLP do not have significant effects. The coefficient for DLGDP minus 1 and DLGDP minus 2, as well as the lags of other variables, are not significant, indicating that these variables do not have a major short-run impact on LGDP. The Jerkill beta test, JB, has a p-value of 0.892, showing no evidence of non-normality in the residues, which is a positive sign for model reliability. And the auto-regression test AR2 with a p-value of 0.403 confirmed there is no significant autocorrelation in the residue. The ARCH test showed a p-value of 0.120, meaning that there is no heteroscedasticity in the residue and the variance is stable. The reset test with a p-value of 0.525 indicates there is no model misspecification, so the functional form of the models is appropriate. Finally, for both the custom and custom square test show stability, indicating no structural breaks or instability over time. In conclusion, the ECM for LGTP is well specified and stable with the cointegration 0, 1 variable being the only one significant factor in the long run. The diagnostic test confirm that the model is reliable with no issue of non-normality, autocorrelation, heteroscedasticity, or misspecification. Next this is quantitative result. For change in LGDP, the error correction term ECT is statistically significant with a coefficient of 0.669 and a statistic of 2.427. This suggests that the long-run equilibrium adjustment significantly influence the short-run dynamic of LGDP. However, the changes in LMO, LEMP, and LLP do not significantly predict changes in LGDP, as their p-value are above 0.05 significant level. This indicates that LGDP is not strongly affected by this variable in the short run. For changes in LMO, changes in LGDP is significant predictor of changes in LMO with a X-squared statistic of 3.214 and a p-value of 0.2, suggesting an directional causality from LGDP and to LMO. The ECT of changes LMO is significant with a coefficient of 1.021 and a t-statistic of 3.846 confirm that the long-run equilibrium adjustment are important in explaining short-term changes in LMO. For changes in LEMP, no significant causality is found from changes in LGDP, LMO, or LLP to LEMP has the p-value are all greater than 0.05 significant level. This means that these variables do not have a significant effect on LEMP in a short run. However, in the ECT of changes in LEMP shows a significant effect, which coefficient is 0.041 and t-statistic is 1.662, but this relationship is weak, suggesting limited short-run influence. For LLP, also, there is no significant causality from changes in LGDP, LMO, or LDMP to LLP to changes LLP. The ECT for changes in LLP also do not have statistically significant, where the coefficient is 0.066 and t-statistic is 1.339, indicating that LLP does not strongly adjust to the long-run equilibrium in the short term. So we can see that changes LGDP and changes in LMO is a bidirectional relationship in the short run, meaning that both variables influence each other, that the ECT plays a significant role in explaining the short-run dynamic of LGDP and LMO, but has a weaker influence on LEMP and LLP, indicating less adjustment in this variable to the long-run equilibrium. This is impulse response result. For LGDP, we can see that it responds positively to its own shock in the short term, but this effect diminished over time. But LMO and LMP have a delayed positive impact of LGDP, suggesting that changes in manufacturing output and employment gradually affect GDP. For LMO, a shock leads to a temporary positive effect on itself, but it also causes a gradual positive impact on LEMP over time, showing that the shocks to manufacturing output and eventually influence employment. For LLP, Shocks initially have a negative impact on GDP, but these effects faded over time indicates that changes in labor productivity can cause a short-term disruption which adjusts over a long run. For LEMP, the response to shock in LMO and LLP is stronger compared to shock to LGDP, showing that employment dynamics are significantly influenced by changes in manufacturing output and productivity. This is variant decomposition result that show how the focus area variance of each variable is explained by shock from other variable over time. For changes in LGDP in the first quarter, it's driven by its own shock, but by the fourth quarter, shocks from changes in LMO and changes in LEMP begin to explain a significant portion reflecting their growing influence on GDP. For changes in LMO, its own shock dominate initially, but over time, changes in LGDP and changes in LEMP start to contribute, highlighting that the role of GDP and employment in driving the manufacturing sector. Similarly, with the changes in LEMP, initially driven by its own shock, but over time, changes in LGDP and changes in LMO become more important in explaining the GDP changes. For changes in LLP, while its own shock initially dominate, the influence of changes in LMO and changes in LEMP grows over time, showing that the increasing impact of manufacturing output and employment on productivity. This result emphasizes the dynamic relationship between GDP, manufacturing output, employment, and productivity, where shocks to one variables increasing influence the other over time. To conclude, this study highlights the long-term equilibrium relationship between GDP, LMO, LEMP, and LLP, where all variables positively impact GDP. However, in the short run, only the Izzati error correction term significantly adjusts GDP with lag changes in the other variables shows little effect. The Granger causality test revealed by directional causality between LGDP and LMO, while LEMP and LLP have a weaker prediction. Based on these findings, it's recommended that Japan policymakers focus on improving labor productivity and employment dynamic in the manufacturing sector, investing in technology and enhancing labor mobility can help boost productivity and competitiveness. Aligning labor market policy with global demand will ensure that Japan manufacturing sector manage resilience to future challenge. Thank you. That's all from us.